Let's dive right into this explainer and uncover the invisible architecture that actually dictates whether our digital products succeed or fail. Now, we typically think of software design as, color palettes, sleek layouts, or the heavy-duty code running in the background. But today, we're going to completely flip that script. We're looking at how language itself is the real foundational architecture of the digital world.
Because, look, we have all been there, right? We've all felt that sudden spike of panic when an unclear button makes us freeze. You stare at it and wonder, wait, if I click this, is it going to delete my account? Is it going to charge my credit card? Am I about to post something super embarrassing for everyone to see? Your heart rate literally ticks up. And that hesitation right there, that is a fundamental design failure. It happens entirely because the language failed to match the logic of the action.
So here is our roadmap for today. 1. Language as digital architecture. 2. Buttons, errors, and onboarding. 3. Trust, privacy, and inclusion. 4. AI as a writing partner. And 5. From text to code.
Okay, Section 1, Language as Digital Architecture. To kick things off, we really need to reframe how we view the text inside our software. It's time to stop seeing it as just the packaging you slap on at the end of development and start seeing it as the actual structural foundation.
And this brings us to the discipline of UX writing. Now, just to be clear, this is not about decorative language or flashy marketing fluff. It is highly functional writing. UX writing combines deep linguistic precision with an intricate understanding of the product. It ensures that you, the user, know exactly what the system demands of you, and absolutely crucial here, what consequences follow your actions. It's basically the bridge between human intention and cold machine logic.
Inside the world of UX writing, we deal heavily in something called microcopy. We're talking about the tiny interface texts, button labels, little hints inside forms, placeholders, error messages. Now, these tiny little elements might seem completely insignificant compared to, say, 100,000 lines of back-end code. But honestly, a single unclear word here can completely break the most robust technical back-end. If the user doesn't understand the microcopy, that feature basically doesn't exist for them.
So the whole point, the holy grail here, is that good interface texts drastically reduce what we call cognitive load. That's the mental horsepower required just to figure out what a screen wants from you. When we slash that cognitive load with incredibly precise language, we make your next step obvious, effortless, and totally safe. You don't even have to think. You just know exactly what to do.
Moving on to Section 2, Buttons, Errors, and Onboarding. Let's dig into the everyday interactions that cause us the absolute most frustration. We're going to look at those moments where software either beautifully assists us or just completely drops the ball.
Check out the stark contrast here. Imagine getting a classic developer-centric error code like error 403. It's super vague, right? It practically blames you for doing something wrong without actually telling you what it was. But contrast that with good UX writing, which acts as helpful repair communication. Something like, the zip code needs 5 digits. Good error messages never assign blame. Instead, they offer an immediate, actionable way to recover.
And the exact same logic applies to buttons. Generic labels like submit or OK instantly create anxiety because they're just so abstract. OK to what, exactly? But when you use concrete action verbs attached to clear objects, like submit application or permanently delete project, everything changes. These explicit labels build immediate trust, they clarify the absolute logic of what you're about to do, giving you total confidence in your actions.
This brilliantly illustrates how language should guide us the very first time we open an app through a concept called progressive onboarding. Good text doesn't overwhelm you with some massive 10-page upfront manual. Nobody wants to read that. Instead, it gives you orientation precisely at the moment you need it, guiding your first meaningful action. It respects your time and your desire to actually just use the product.
All right, Section 3, Trust, Privacy, and Inclusion. Because as our digital tasks get way more complex, handling our bank accounts, our health records, our sensitive identities, language steps up to become our main tool for establishing safety and equal access.
And we're not just talking about good design here, we are talking about essential accessibility. Global standards like WCAG 2.2 explicitly demand that errors aren't just signaled with, say, a red outline around a text box, because for visually impaired users or folks with cognitive barriers, a red line doesn't mean anything. Errors absolutely must be identified and explained with clear, accessible text, along with suggestions on how to fix them.
Now, to prevent total chaos across massive apps built by hundreds of different people, teams use content design systems. These systems establish unified terminology. Think about it. Knowing exactly when to use the word delete, which means it's gone forever, versus remove, which might just take an item off of a list. That specific clarity is a game changer. It sets up reusable text patterns and inclusive language rules that bring a comforting sense of order to the whole interface.
Plus, with major new regulations hitting the books, like the EU AI Act, clear language around privacy and transparency is absolutely no longer optional. It's a strict legal requirement built directly into the interface. If you're talking to a chatbot or looking at AI-generated content, the app has to explicitly tell you. Language is quite literally where legal compliance meets the user.
Which transitions us perfectly to Section 4, AI as a writing partner. What's really fascinating here is how artificial intelligence is simultaneously disrupting and completely supercharging this process of crafting product language.
The Nielsen-Norman Group hit the nail on the head recently. They pointed out that an AI can instantly generate 50 different variants for a button text, but it completely lacks any understanding of product truth. It doesn't know your specific legal constraints, it doesn't know your back-end limitations. So, because AI is so blazingly fast at generating options, the human linguistic skill of critically evaluating those options and being the ultimate arbiter of truth becomes more important than ever.
So we get this entirely new workflow for modern product teams. It starts with a highly specific prompt or briefing, and that's great because it forces the team to clarify their own logic first. Then, the AI generates a bunch of variants. And finally, the make-or-break step, human review and fact-checking. The AI is basically a super-fast junior partner, but a human must meticulously comb through the output to ensure it is legally, factually, and tonally spot on.
Here's a perfect real-world example of why that human review is absolutely critical. An AI which is trained to be polite and helpful might confidently spit out an overly cheerful error message like, "We have fixed your problem." But wait, if the server is actually still down, that's an AI hallucination. It's a polite lie. Human logic has to intervene to ensure we only communicate the responsible truth like, "We are investigating the problem."
And that brings us to our final stop, Section 5, from text to code. This represents a massive, fundamental paradigm shift in how we need to think about tech education and computer science moving forward.
We really need to internalize this idea. Language skills are product skills. Writing clearly for an interface is, in a very real, tangible way, a form of coding. You are literally programming the user's experience and directing the flow of logic, which means traditional language and writing lessons, they are incredibly relevant to modern computer science and software development. Just look at how beautifully these two worlds align. When learners combine the deep audience focus they learn in an English class with the conditional system logic they learn in programming, they build an incredibly empathetic user experience. When they pair text analysis with state conditions, they write crystal clear error messages. And the iterative revision you use to edit an essay, that's the exact same muscle you use to refine process architecture. Combine them and you just build vastly superior software.
So I'll leave you with this thought. The next time you encounter a terribly frustrating digital experience, or on the flip side, when you smoothly, effortlessly glide through a complex new app, pause for a second. Ask yourself, which tiny piece of text just controlled my next decision? Because while the code running the machine is incredibly powerful, it's the words on the screen that actually run the world. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and definitely keep an eye out for that invisible code.